a very important teaching that I had at the end. I said, Spirit, at the end of it all, I said, Spirit, I'm done. I'm so tired. Like this whole process you've given me has made me so tired. And I was just sobbing, and I was so just undoing so much. And had this big cry of help, like, I'm so done. Like, I really want to know what real love is. I want to stop looking for love outside of myself. He says, you complete me. And I was like, my heart will melt. And then they actually made like a song about it with that excerpt of the movie. And I
Huh.
was just like, that was me. That was me. And I identified with that moment because that was me. It's like, oh my God, anything outside, please complete me. I don't feel complete. And that was a journey for me. And that's how I came into the Course in Miracles. And the Course in Miracles started to wake me up into what is really real. But it took a lot of time because my father committed suicide when I was 3 months old. And somehow I made it about me. And somehow unconsciously, I started to put it into my relationships. So what has happened is that throughout my life and my relationships, I was codependent. I was trying to convince men to love me. It's like, can you please love me? It was
Yeah.
just it was just a shit show in a way, and just really lonely and sad and all these types of emotions. And I have to say, Sean, and this can be with anything. This could be money. This could be, it's not just relationships. It's just that longing to
Mm.
fit in, or that longing to feel loved, or that longing, right? And I have to say that throughout my journey, I've done the work. Has it been easy? No. And I've gone through different phases of practicing and not practicing. But there was a pivotal moment where I was so tired, Sean, of suffering, so tired of looking for love outside of myself, that I made a big call on a couch one day. I had just given an incredible, I'm a minister too, so I gave an incredible talk at Unity in Los Angeles. I came home and I was dating this guy, and actually, it's in my first. I forgot to mention, I'm also an author, and I wrote 2 books: Live Your Happy and Live Your Happiest. In Live Your Happiest, I share this story about this director guy. So I'm on the couch, Sean, and all of a sudden, I'm thinking about this guy that I like. And obviously, he's doing the same patterns I always attract, which is he's
Yeah.
not, he had told me the day before he's not relationship material, you know? So I was trying to think in the couch, how can I convince him to come over for some pasta, and then I could convince him that I am lovable. Okay. So I was trying to
Yeah.
come up with the text message, and I had a moment where I was just so done. And I made a call to Spirit. I said, Spirit, I'm so tired of looking for love outside of myself. I cannot believe I'm like wanting to convince this person to love me. And all of a sudden I heard a voice, and it was so clear. It wasn't like, oh, or anything like that. It was just a knowing that said, you need to forgive. You need to forgive. And I was like, I need to forgive what? You need to forgive your father. Not only that, you need to forgive
Mm.
all the men in your life. And I was like, holy shit, that's a lot of that's a lot of men. My husband always asks me when I share this story, how many? I said, honey, that was before.
We don't need to
He
go to the
always tells me
past.
because at workshops, like, I'm talking and he could hear me, you know? So this is a really powerful story, and it's a story like I said, I share and Live Your Happy, and I also share within the book the process that came through. And Spirit said, you need to forgive your father, but not only that, you need to forgive all the men in your life. And then the practice came. The practice was each day for 7 days. It was so specific, Sean. I'm just getting goosebumps saying
Mm.
it. Very specific. Every day, you need to, the story that you've made up, so what you believe is true. So your father abandoned you, he left your mother, he's so selfish, all of that. And then I want you to take it to me. I want you to ask the
Mm.
divine love, what is really real here? What is the truth? So I want you to give your interpretation, and I want to give you my interpretation. So every day I did that. Every day was I had to meditate, I had to channel, and I also had to drink a lot of water. It was very specific, a lot of water, and no dating. No dating, no talking to anybody, just focused. So I had a hard week because you start to see all the unconscious guilt within this honesty. That's why I always say you got to feel it to heal it. Course in Miracles says you have to expose your private thoughts. And this can be anything in life. This can be being rejected when you were at school, when you were young, and you start to see all the rejection you had and you forgive the people that have rejected you. It could be anything. So this process is something that I teach because it's such a powerful process. And I'm not going to get into the details, just the end part, which was throughout the time I realized with my dad specifically, and I wrote him a letter. Also, after Sean, you need the process was you write that person a letter. Not that you need to send it, just you write the letter.
Sure. Just get it out.
Just get it out. And I actually have the letter in my first book to my dad that I wrote. But what I said is, what I realized is the spirit said, I said, Spirit, I feel like my father abandoned me. I feel like he's so selfish. Like, how can he, commit suicide the way he did? Because he did put a gun to his head on my mom's birthday. Like, it was just a whole big
Wow.
story. And spirit said to me, Spirit said to me, sweetheart, your father never abandoned you. Your father can never abandon you. Your father is God, so you can never be abandoned. Also, your father left for you, for your
Mm.
growth, for your healing. My father was an alcoholic. He was very jealous. I wouldn't have been able to express myself as the soul that I am if he would have stayed in form. So he actually did me a favor. The spirit said, Maria, he's doing you a favor. He loves you. He's leaving for you. What the fuck? No,
Yeah.
blows my mind. I can just cry now because from looking at it from a point of view of abandonment that I had to this big deep reflection of he didn't abandon you, it was for you, it was a gift for you. It's like that's what the course is teaching, a perception from fear to love. That's very radical. That is what forgiveness
Yeah.
is. That's true forgiveness. So at the end of the whole process, I said, I can't believe we're going so deep today, Shawnee. You even asked me this. This
Oh,
is
I got Maria. I got some questions fired up too. We're gonna you got to put your scuba gear on because we're gonna keep going.
at the end here, this is just like to wrap it up about this is that because this is very important for spiritual students, this is very important for this group to know because this is a very important teaching that I had at the end. I said, Spirit, at the end of it all, I said, Spirit, I'm done. I'm so tired. Like this whole process you've given me has made me so tired. And I was just sobbing and I was so just undoing so much and I would had this big cry of help like I'm so done like I really want to know what real love is. I want to stop looking for love outside of myself. And I've never had such an honest response from spirit. I've never heard something so clear and so honest and when I said I'm ready, spirit said, "No, you're not."
Mm.
I was like, "What?" I just meditated for 7 days. I did this exercise. And what do you mean I'm not ready? Sean, Mike Cuban came out. I was like, pero. I was like getting mad. But you know what? In that moment of anger and hurt, I said, oh my,
In English, that's but, right? For
yeah,
everybody.
pero, is but.
But.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's true. I don't really want to know what real love is. This is all the unconscious skill, guys. This is when you want to be the victim. This is when you still want to compromise, when you want to forgive, but not totally. This is when you say, I want abundance, but you still feel, that you don't have enough money in the bank. Or this is when you say, I want real love, but you still think that something outside could complete you. That was me. So it was like contradictory, but when spirit said, look, sweetheart, you say you want this, but look how you're being in this world. That changed everything. It's the first time I was honest with myself in a very brutal way. It's like, no, you're not ready. It's like, okay, well, it's good to see that. It's good to see how we compromise, how we make exceptions, how we say we want things, but not really at a very deep level. So that's why I'm sharing that here, Sean, because we need to begin to say, where are we making compromises? Where are we making exceptions? Where are we not in alignment? So that way you can really live that fully. So then now coming to my husband with all this healing work that I've done, which looks like I just said, now with him, I feel so secure in the marriage. And I always tell spirit, my prayer in my marriage is God or spirit, show me what real love is here. Like not the love of Jerry Maguire, not the love of the novellas or anything like that, like the love of God in him. And that's my classroom with him. Like I always, my intention is always to not feel victimized by him, not feel like the victim in the relationship. I always practice responsibility. We always practice being very communicative. The other person's not responsible for your happiness. All these things. So I'm so grateful to be with him because it's like I've gotten to a point which I wasn't before. It's like I'm with you good, I'm not with you good. That kind of, I'm not very attached. I love him dearly,
I got
but I
it.
want him to be where he wants to be, you know? So before I wasn't like that. Before I was like, this needs to be forever or whatever, whatever it is. Um, and then at the same time is that every time he pushes my buttons, because he is German, he's a different culture, I'm able to, with the level of awareness and consciousness that I have with a lot of deep work, I know him, I get him, I know his innocence, I know it's not personal, I know everything is just a call for love, I know it could be a culture change. It's not that he's being mean, it's he's being German, you know, that kind of thing. So